Good afternoon, I'm Eli. I paint things and they usually look a little bit something like this. But I've been getting a little bit bored of that lately and I want to try something new, try and reinvigorate my style a little bit. And as a result of that, I've had to face something that I've been trying to ignore for a long time, and that is that I'm not really as good at art as I would like to be. And so that kind of brings me into what this video is going to be kind of about, and also what I'm going to be showing in this video. But firstly, as a result of me realizing that I'm not as good as I would like to be, I need to practice more, I need to study more. So a lot of the visuals throughout this video are going to be just me doing a lot of studies. I'm doing a lot of portrait studies throughout this. Hopefully they turn out well. I'm only going to be trying to spend about half an hour to an hour on these, closer to half an hour if I can. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. So there's two things that I wanted to talk about in this video. Main thing is why I almost gave up on art recently, what I've been struggling with, what I've been dealing with, and what I've learned through that. But before I get into that too much, I just wanted to quickly talk about the other thing, and that is what I want my videos to be, what I want them to be about, what's the purpose of them. And I've decided that I simply want my videos to be a way that I can just document and share my journey, my progress, my process through art. And to achieve this, I'm going to try and make two different types of videos. The first type will be around my main larger paintings that I plan on selling and showing in galleries. And those types of videos are just going to be a bit more entertainment based. And then the other type of video is just going to be showing a bit more of the background stuff. I'm going to be doing studies and any of the other experiences that I have that I feel like are worth filming and sharing. And throughout a lot of these, especially the study type ones, I'm going to be talking about any experiences that I've had through art and through my art journey that I feel are worthwhile sharing. And through these videos, I hope that others can learn from my experiences, and maybe if there's anything also that I'm just particularly struggling with, and you have any answers for, please feel free to share them in the comments below or something, and so that we can all learn and we can all get better. Okay, that is my first color portrait in over 2 years. It is now done. Look, I know it's not great, but I'm gonna give myself a pass on this one. It's fine. It's it took me 48 minutes to do this, and yeah, so it took me 48 minutes to do this, and I made it unnecessarily difficult on myself. For some reason, I decided to use a black and white reference image and then try and paint in color, although I don't really paint in color very often. So that probably wasn't the smartest idea. And yeah, whatever, it turned out okay. There's definitely a lot of issues with it, but I'm not going to go over them all now. And I'm just going to get into another one. One thing I definitely want to try and improve on in my next one is I want to try and make it feel a bit freer, a bit looser, a bit more natural. I felt like I was trying too hard in that one, trying to make it look too nice, I guess. I don't know, and it just feels like it has no movement to that painting, it feels very static, I suppose, what I'm trying to say. But anyway, let's get into the next one and hopefully it's better. So now that first study is done and I've basically covered that first point that I want to talk about, I'm going to get into the main reason for this video and the thing that I really wanted to discuss. And that is how I almost gave up on art recently. Before this video, I hadn't actually painted anything for about 2 months. And I had pretty much given up on trying to pursue art anymore. There are a few reasons for why I was feeling this way, and I'm going to try and discuss them all in this video, and simultaneously try not to incoherently ramble too much, as I'm definitely far better at doing that than actually making sense and structuring my ideas correctly. But we'll see how we go. And so the first thing I wanted to talk about is something that I think we all tend to struggle with, or we all can struggle with, and that is doing something that we feel is important and worthwhile. And the reason I've struggled with this in regards to my art is the fact that I don't really think art is all that important. I feel like some people would disagree with me there. Thinking about this now reminds me of a quote that I saw on Instagram the other day. It was a quote by some famous artist apparently. it was something about the fact that art has the power to change the world. I personally don't really believe that. I suppose on some level, yes, art changes the world. Like anything you create or bring into the world does effectively change the world because you've introduced something that wasn't there before. But I don't think art will change the world in the way that I think that quote was implying. It's not going to solve world hunger. It's not going to create world peace. And because I don't really believe art is overly important, it has made me question, why I'm doing this, why I'm spending so much time and effort on this. And I've come to realize that even though it might not be important on a global scale, it is important to me because I enjoy making this art, and that's enough. It doesn't have to change the world. It can just change my life, and that is enough, and I'm okay with that now. And so the next thing that I've been kind of struggling with for a long time is simply the fact that I'm shy and I'm a bit quiet. So sharing things on social media is kind of difficult for me. It can be pretty stressful and hard to do. And I feel like a lot of people within the art community probably feel the same way that I do. A lot of the other people I've met who are artists are naturally quieter individuals, naturally shyer individuals like myself. But I've also realized recently, like literally within the last probably week or two, that even though it is difficult to do and it has been very hard, a very stressful thing to do at times, it has actually also been worthwhile. I've become a much more confident individual. I'm much better at talking to people, much better at dealing with situations within my own life that may come up. And so by putting myself out there online more has in some way made me more confident and happier as a person. Now I just hope that the stress that I feel around sharing things on social media will one day disappear. And once that happens, everything will be great. And I do actually believe that stress will probably disappear one day, or at least become a lot easier to deal with, because I've already seen that happen within myself. I've already, sharing things on social media has definitely become easier over time. And so I feel as though the more I do it, the easier it will become. The more I open up to people and the more people seem to accept me, the easier it is to do this. So thank you to everyone who watches my videos or who's ever liked a photo, who's ever encouraged me, who have really helped me come out of my shell and become a better person. So thank you. And finally, I want to move on to the main reason for why I really wanted to give up art recently. And that is the lack of success that I had throughout 2020. And to provide a bit of context around that, I feel like I need to go back to the start of this all and kind of where and when and why I decided to pursue art as a career. For most of my life, art was just a hobby. But that's kind of changed a little bit around the end of 2019. Because at the end of 2019, I managed to get into 3 different art shows. And it's also the manner in which I managed to get into them, which made me feel really good about my art. The first show that I got into, the guy organizing it actually messaged me on Instagram. He said he saw my art and loved it and wondering if I wanted to be a part of the show. I obviously said yes, and it was a great night and a great show to be a part of. The other 2 were through a different gallery, and I actually had to apply for that first show, and I'd only really gained the confidence to actually apply for that first show after this guy approached me on Instagram. Then obviously that gallery said yes to my application, and I showed in there for that first group show, and then they must have liked my art so much that they actually asked me back. So I showed in there in November, and then they had another group show coming up in December, which they asked me if I would like to be a part of it, and obviously so I said yes. But also throughout those last 3 months of 2019, I made about $5,000 from art. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it was so much more than I had ever made from art, and it really made me think that, if this is just a weekend hobby and I can manage to make $5,000 on it in a couple of months, imagine what I could do if I spent a lot more time on it. And that leads into 2020, which started out really well. I sold 3 more paintings within the first 2 months, which was really nice. And also because of the success that I had been having, I decided to go to my boss and talk to him about going from working full-time as a full-time employee for them to just working as a casual, in which I would only work 3 to 4 days a week. And in that way, I would be able to spend a full 1 to 2 days a week on my art, exclusively on my art. And that was really exciting because I had managed to achieve so much in 2019 with just art as a hobby without even really trying too much. And I was like, imagine what I could achieve in 2020 if I was spending, 2 to 3 times more time and effort on my art. But things did not go as well as I'd hoped. Firstly, the coronavirus hit Australia. We had restrictions and lockdowns, all the galleries closed, all the opportunities that were used to be there dried up and disappeared. And for the last 10 months of 2020, so from the end of February to the end of December, I didn't sell a single artwork. And that was really tough to deal with. Like a lot of people, I went into 2020 feeling like it held a lot of promise and there was a lot of opportunity there, and nothing really happened. Absolutely nothing. At least that's what it felt like at the time. And whilst 2021 so far has been better, I have managed to sell 5 artworks at this stage, but there were still all these things, gnawing away in the back of my head, that the art's not important, why am I spending so much time on it? You're too shy, you're too private, you don't share enough on social media. You're not as good as the other people on social media, everyone else seems to be so much more successful than you. And on top of that, the thought that I might not sell any more paintings for the rest of the year. Like, yes, I've sold 5, but this could be it. There's no way for me to really know. All I can do is really hope and try and see what happens. But I've come to realize that I did still achieve some forms of success through 2020. Yes, I may not have sold any artwork through most of the year. I did develop as a human. I developed as an artist. My artwork that I was creating through 2020 was so much better than the artwork I was creating through 2019, and that's only positive. And I also managed to go from around 600 followers on Instagram to over 2,000. That was a really good feeling. But those little wins, just seemed to be dwarfed by this fact that I hadn't sold any artwork for most of 2020. And so it was still difficult to shake that feeling as though I had been unsuccessful in 2020. And it took me a long time to really think through this and process it all. But what I have learned from all of this is that it's very easy to focus on the negative side of things, and that I really need to acknowledge the positives more and put more stock in them than I do. And so rather than ignore my failures and just pretend that they're not happening, I learned that I need to acknowledge them, deal with them, learn what I can from them, and then move on, which is far easier said than done. But just like everything, it just takes experience, it takes that time and that practice, and it's hard to spend that time on these things. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope it wasn't too boring, and I hope you're able to take something away from this video and from my own experiences. But also, if you have any advice for me on any of these issues, please feel free to leave it in the comments below, or you can also find a link to my Instagram in the description. If you would feel more comfortable to just simply message me privately, please feel free to do so as well. However, I would encourage you to leave any advice you have in the comments section, just so that it can help anybody else who comes to this video in the future who is also struggling with these things that I mentioned throughout this video. But once again, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.